She shook her head at the memory. Bernice had been a grandmotherly type who lived on a mini farm with lots of animals. That home had given Aubrey positive memories. Not all the foster homes had. "And I am indeed burning daylight," she said to herself, smiling at the memory of Bernice and the zoo she kept on her property. Her hiking boots crunched on the more pebble-like ash. She moved the flashlight, spotting the type of rock she'd been looking for. She knelt and reached toward the tiny stones with a scooper. A pinging noise made her lift her head and straighten her spine. She whirled around, glancing everywhere. Her heart raced, though she could not process what the noise was. It sounded like a gunshot, very close to her. A second sound, this one closer and more explosive, confirmed her worst fear. She was being shot at. When she glanced toward the boulder field, a dark shadow was headed her way. Aubrey took off running. She lifted her backpack, only to have it be torn from her hands by another bullet. The man was getting closer and more accurate with each shot. In the fading light, she could not see him clearly. She hurried to put some distance between herself and the shooter. One of her feet slipped. She righted herself. Traversing the ash beach with the poles she had brought with her was hard enough, but without that support, it was like trying to walk on ice. She gasped for breath. At this elevation, the air was very thin. Her stumble had allowed the man to close the distance between them. There was no place to take cover. She moved as fast as she could over the precarious terrain, sliding on her behind and using her hand for support when she needed to. Another shot came so close to her, it made her ears ring. She gasped. Why would someone be shooting at her? Slipping and sliding, she moved in a wide arc toward the boulder field, which would provide some cover. Her breath came in sharp, intense jabs. The pursuer ran steadily toward her. Aubrey could not fathom why someone was after her. She still clutched the phone in her hand. If she could get to a hiding place, she'd be able to call for help. She knew from experience that the signal this close to the volcano was spotty at best. She needed to get closer to the wilderness trail beyond the boulder field in order to secure a signal. She put the phone in her pocket for now. With the pursuer nipping at her heels, she made her way to the giant lava rocks. She could hear the man's footsteps behind her as she climbed over and around various shapes of stone. Another shot glanced off a rock just as she ducked behind it. She kept moving. The man was so close she could hear him grunt from the effort it took to navigate this part of the mountain. She had a small advantage in that she'd been up and down this mountain so many times, she'd become an expert and knew the fastest route. Her hands hurt from climbing. Aubrey had removed the gloves she wore on the way up and put them in her backpack. She kept going. No matter how fast she went, the man remained close. Because this part of the hike required using both hands for balance around and over the rocks, he was unable to shoot at her. How long would this man persist in chasing her? The rocks gave way to brush, and she could see the forest where the trail was. She sprinted toward the evergreens, bracing for another round of gunfire. The trees loomed in front of her. If she could find a hiding place, she would be able to call for help. Once she found the trail, she stepped across it into an area where the trees grew close together. She ran for a few minutes more, then slipped behind a large trunk. Aubrey took her phone out and stared at it, breathing a sigh of relief. She had a signal. Her finger hovered over the keypad icon as she prepared to press 911. Footfalls very close to her caused her to freeze. Her pulse thrummed in her ears. It sounded like the man was less than 10 feet from her. Her lips quivered from intense fear. She could hear the footsteps falling on leaves and dirt, growing softer and then louder. Though he was close, he was still searching for her, but had not pinpointed where she was. She put her phone back in her jacket pocket, not wanting the glow from the screen to give away her location. Light shone off to the side. He was getting closer. She drew her hands to her body and pressed